Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing well. Welcome to this next lesson in our course. So this is oh la la adjectives. So let's talk about adjectives in French. Adjectives are very important. They're words that we add to a noun to give them more meaning. Think of adjectives as the condiments of the grammar world. So you don't like your sandwich or your hamburger, throw some condiments on it, you spice it up, you make it more interesting. It's the same thing with adjectives. The part of the word adjective, ject, is from Latin, the Latin word to throw, and add means onto. So think of an adjective as a word that you throw onto a noun. It changes its composition, gives it more meaning, makes it more interesting. Okay, so all that being said, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about adjectives. Some basics: they describe people, places, or things. Most adjectives in French must agree in gender and number with the nouns they describe. So what does this mean? This means that you're going to see different forms of the adjective. They have to agree with the concepts, the grammatical concepts of masculine and feminine for nouns, and also singular and plural. So you'll see, for example, for some adjectives, you'll see 4 different forms of the same word. It's very simple. To make an adjective feminine, you add an E to the masculine form. And if it already ends in E, you don't add anything. So we're going to look in this lesson at this rule, at making them feminine and also making them plural. To make them plural, you generally just add an S as well. Okay, so let's start with a real live adjective here. So in English, this is patient. In French, patient. Patient. Notice I'm not pronouncing the end here. Patient. Patient. Okay, so I have a little grid here. I have masculine and feminine down, and then singular and plural. So we're going to fill in the little grid here with the different forms. So these are what I call 4-form adjectives. They have 4 forms, simply. Okay, so patient, masculine, singular. So remember, the rule is to add an E to make it feminine. So I add my E, and I have patient, patient. And notice how the pronunciation changes. Patient, 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 patient. Okay, so far so good. So now we want to look at the plural. We are going to have a plural masculine and a plural feminine. So the simple rule is, generally, if you want to make it plural, add an S. So if I want to make the masculine form plural, I'm going to add an S, and I have passion. Same pronunciation as the one up here at the top. Passion, 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 passion. Okay, so for the feminine, if I want the feminine plural, I have to add an S, but not to the masculine form, but to the feminine form. So I have patient, and I'm going to add an S, and I have patient. So my pronunciation, patient, 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 patient. And there we have our 4 different forms. Listening, you're only going to hear 2 different forms. You're going to hear patient, 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 patient. So you're only going to hear patient and patient. It's hard to determine just by hearing the adjective by itself. Actually, you can't determine it without any other context. If you just hear it by itself, you don't know whether it's singular or plural, for example. If I hear someone yell out, passion, I don't know if it's this one or this one. Passion, 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 passion. By the same token, if you were to hear somebody just scream out one word and they say patient, you don't know if it's this one or this one. So context becomes very important. You have to listen to the other parts of the sentence to figure out, when you're listening, which one you're hearing. Okay, but that comes later on down the road. Okay, so we have one example of a 4-form adjective. Let's go ahead and take a look at some examples here where you'll see the different forms. Okay, and I have a little capitalization error on my English side. Let me fix that. Okay, so he is patient. In French, it's going to be the masculine singular form because he, il in French is masculine and singular. So notice the adjective is agreeing with the subject. Il est patient, he's patient. Il est patient. Now I want to say she is patient. She in French, elle, is singular but feminine, so I have to adjust my adjective. I can't use the masculine singular form. I have to use the feminine singular, which is patiente. Elle est patiente. Elle est patiente. Patiente. Il est patient. Elle est patiente. Patient, patiente. Notice the difference. Okay, they are patient. They are patient. Now they, I'm going to use the plural, il. Il is plural and masculine grammatically, even if the il that you are referring to is a group of males and females. So it still takes the masculine by default. So we have ils sont patients. Ils sont patients. Ils sont patients. They are patient. And notice the S. And finally, they are patient. This is going to be the elle, the plural form, and feminine form. Elles sont patientes. Elles sont patientes. Elles sont patientes. And there we have an example here of this one adjective with all of its different forms. Il est patient. Elle est patiente. Ils sont patients. Elles sont patientes. Okay, on to another one. Amusant. Amusant is fun, like you're a fun person. So masculine singular, amusant. To make it feminine, add the E. Amusante. Amusant. Amusante. Notice the difference in pronunciation. Amusant. Amusante. Plural. Add the S, remember. Amusant. Amusant. And then plural feminine. Amusante. Notice the endings. They're all, each one is different. So amusant, amusante with the E, amusant with the S, and amusante with the ES. And there we have our four forms. So let's practice a little bit with that. He is fun. And here I have my recurring capitalization error. Oh darn, well, let me fix that. Okay. So don't be afraid of making mistakes. We're all human. We make mistakes. When you're learning languages, you're going to make lots of mistakes. It's okay. It's just part of the process. Keep working at it. So even in writing, speaking, whatever, it happens. Okay, so he is fun. I want to say he is fun. Remember, my adjective is amusant. So the masculine singular form would be il est amusant. Il est amusant. And notice I have a little bit of liaison here. Est amusant. Il est amusant, because the adjective begins with a vowel, so that brings out the pronunciation. Normally, if you wanted to say he is, you would just say il est. But now I have a vowel following, so il est amusant. Il est amusant. She is fun. I have to add an E to this form, so elle est amusante. Elle est amusante. Il est amusant. Elle est amusante. They are fun. Ils sont amusants. Notice I added an S to the masculine singular form. Ils sont amusants. Ils sont amusants. Again, liaison. Ils sont amusants. Ils sont amusants. They are fun. And then they are fun with the L. Elles sont amusantes. Elles sont amusantes. And there you have it, another four-form adjective. So I'm going to leave you with that for this lesson. So the purpose was just to point out that there are adjectives that have four forms, and then in general, adjectives have to agree with the nouns in gender, masculine or feminine grammatically, and also in number, singular or plural. And that's it. To continue learning about adjectives, click here to go on to the next video. If you found this helpful, I would appreciate it very much if you give it a like, and I'll see you in the next lesson. See you soon. À bientôt.